Welcome to Lecture 5 of the Research Methods and Ethics in Science course. The topic of the lecture is the research design. This is Dr. Elifiano. Introduction. Having decided what you want to study, you now need to determine how you are going to conduct your study. There are a number of questions that need to be answered before you can proceed with your journey. What procedures will you adopt to obtain answers to research questions? How will you carry out the tasks needed to complete the different components of the research process? What should you do and what should you not do in the process of undertaking the study? Basically, answers to these questions constitute the core of a research design. What is a research design? According to Kellinger 1986, a research design is a plan, structure, and strategy of investigation so conceived as to obtain answers to research questions or problems. The plan is the complete scheme or program of the research. It includes an outline of what the investigator will do, from writing the hypothesis and their operational implications to the final analysis of data. Thayer 1993 states that a traditional research design is a blueprint or detailed plan for how a research study is to be completed, operationalizing variables so they can be measured, selecting a sample of interest to study, collecting data to be used as a basis for testing hypothesis, and analysis of the results. To elaborate, there are several research designs that a researcher can adopt, but it is imperative that the researcher is able to identify the most appropriate research design in order to complete the research work. So the question then is, which research design am I going to adopt, and why should I adopt that particular research design? As we progress, we will discuss the various options and what a researcher is supposed to do to be able to identify the most appropriate design. But the literature review would give the researcher a lot of insight into the various designs, and the review gives the researcher an opportunity to compare designs that have been adopted in previous studies and at the end of the day decide on which one to adopt. Through a research design, you decide for yourself and communicate to others your decisions regarding what study design you propose to use, how you are going to collect information from your respondents, how you are going to select your respondents, how the information you are going to collect is to be analyzed, and how you are going to communicate your findings. In addition, you will need to detail in your research design the rationale and justification for each decision that shapes your answers to the how of the research journey. In presenting your rationale and justification, you need to support them critically from the literature reviewed. You also need to assure yourself and others that the path you have proposed will yield valid and reliable results. The functions of a research design. A research design has two main functions. One, to conceptualize an operational plan to undertake the various procedures and tasks required to complete your study. Two, to ensure that these procedures are adequate to obtain valid, objective, and accurate answers to the research questions. Kellinger, 1986, calls this function the control of variance. If you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. So the research design enables you to do proper planning for your research study. And in going through this plan, you must make sure that you use adequate procedures, right, that would allow you to have valid, objective, and accurate answers to your research questions. So in effect, without that plan, that well thought out plan, well structured plan, you are likely to run into problems during your study. So the core function of the research design is to allow you to have a proper plan for the project. The research design should detail for you, your supervisor, and other readers all the procedures you plan to use and the task you are going to perform to obtain answers to your research questions. One of the most important requirements of a research design is to specify everything clearly so a reader will understand what procedures to follow and how to follow them. A research design, therefore, should do the following. Name the study design per se, that is it cross-sectional, before and after, comparative, control experiment, or random control. Provide detailed information about the following aspects of the study. Who will constitute the study population? How will the study population be identified? Will a sample or the whole population be selected? What method of data collection will be used and why? In the case of a questionnaire, where will the responses be retained? What kind of experiments will be used and why? Function 2. To ensure that these procedures are adequate to obtain valid, objective, and accurate answers to the research questions. It is important that you select a study design that helps you to isolate, eliminate, or quantify the effects of different sets of variables influencing the dependent variable. The theory of causality, and then the research design. Causality is influenced by which one event, process, state, or object contributes to the production of another event, process, state, or object, where the cause is partly responsible for the effect and the effect is partly dependent on the cause. This simply means that one variable or phenomenon or a set of variables or phenomena can lead to the production of another phenomenon. So for instance, if we have a simple theory of internet banking usage, where we say that, for instance, social influence and attitude towards the internet influence the usage of internet banking, it means that we are saying that these two variables, that is social influence and attitude towards internet, can lead to or influence the use of internet banking. So in this case, the use of internet banking becomes the dependent variable and social influence and attitude towards internet becomes the independent variable. Any variable that is responsible for bringing about a change is called an independent variable. When you study a cause and effect relationship, usually you study the impact of at least one independent variable. The problem being analyzed becomes the dependent variable. So let's look at a practical example of this relationship. So in this model, we are looking at certain variables that influence gold recovery. So we have mineralogy of the ore, leaching time, ore particle size, Lixiviant for leaching. Now this model says that these variables are, or they influence gold recovery. So we can then say that these variables are the independent variables and gold recovery is the dependent variable. This brings us to the end of the lecture. Thanks for watching.